Hey everyone, Stephanie for La La Land Crafts. I'm super excited to show you a great project today. This is going to be a long one because we're focusing on coloring. So I'm going to be using a scene that I created by masking the Royal Day stamp set and also Rose Hat Marci. So I'm going to show you quickly how I colored the entire scene because I stamped it with light ink. This one was a little pale gray, if I'm not mistaken, from Memento. So I'm showing you how I did the entire coloring part. If you feel like you do not want to look at this or you want to skip directly to the card making part, which is going to be extremely simple, I suggest that you up over to the 15 and 30-ish minute and you'll be all good to go for the card making part. So I'll put some music on and then I'll catch you up later with our Rose at Marcy and the Royal Day stamp set that we put together with some masking technique. Okay, bye! Okay, so now that the coloring part is almost done, I'm just adding some little finishing touches like that two-tone rose on Rose Hat Marci. I just love how you can easily blend two colors together with that large rose. She's adorable, and you can definitely make it matching the dress or the shoes or however your heart feels like it. But I prefer to do something different whenever I color Marci because she's just adorable. So now I'm going to finish doing the leaves on her hat, and please don't even worry 1 second. You'll have the entire list of markers that I've used. These are Copic markers, but as always with Lala and Crafts, you can use whichever coloring medium you prefer. They're just amazing for coloring, honestly. So and also one thing to mention is I always work dark to light, but you do whatever you want. So now that they're finished, the coloring part is almost done. I say almost because we're going to add some polka dots later on with some Sharpie paint. So I decided that I wanted to fussy cut my image. Why fussy cutting? And if you don't know what it is, well, fussy cutting is when you take a pair of sharp scissors and that you try to cut all around your character, so you follow the silhouette basically by leaving, let's say, 2 to 3 millimeter of white all around it. So 2 to 3 millimeter would equal to, let's say, an eighth of an inch, so that you can leave a border all around it. And then when you stack it on your project, whatever the project, mini albums, greeting cards, scrapbook layouts, whatever, they really pop. So even if your project is super duper colorful, it will still pop. So that's why I enjoy doing it. You can definitely use dyes, but in this case, because I had a scene and I didn't want to have too many cuts to do, well, I just decided to use my plain old scissors. So now here comes the part where I say that I'm adding some Sharpie paint. So this is just dots of white paint all around her dress. I love that Marci's dress and Marci's clothing in general can always be adapted or modified with some little nice touches and patterns. Irina and the entire thing have some amazing tutorials on the Lala and Crafts blog that you can look at for more information on how to color her clothing. So now we're already to the card making part. So I decided to use a regular A2 card base. This is a 4¼ inches by 5½ inches long of sturdy white cardstock, and I'm also creating some layers of cardstock. So there's a gray one that is 4 inches by 5¼ inches, and there's a craft one which is 3¾ inches by 5 inches, and then you also have the pattern paper, which is approximately, let's say, 3½ or 3/4 by 4 3/4. But whatsoever, don't worry, because you're going to be clothing it, shall we say. You're going to be hiding it with all your die cuts. So speaking of die cuts, I decided to go along the telephone booth, the Big Ben die, and also the London border die because they're just so cool, and they also really coordinate with the scene that we created using the Royal Day and Rose Hat Marci. So I decided to die cut with craft cardstock the London border die that is going to go on top of our project once we slide it behind or also on top of the card base. And I also decided to use the gray cardstock to die cut the telephone booth and the Big Ben one. I just adore these because they're just so cute. They die cut really well, and you see all these little openings, all these holes onto the silhouettes of my die cut. Well, I didn't have to pass it through my die cutting machine 10 times. No, not even, just one time, because the dies at Alala and Crafts are just amazing. They're still cut, and they do they do a great job right the first time. So now that we're creating this little scene, I'm going to add some foam tabs or foam squares, depending on how you want to call it, behind the little characters that we colored. So don't laugh at me struggling with the negative of the little squares. It's really not easy in my life to remove all those little pieces, but hey, we all struggle with one thing, right? It's a hobby, let's have fun, so I don't want to stress over removing those little square parts. Anyhow, why do I had foam tape or foam tabs behind my images? Well, for one thing, it has dimension. Once you look at the project and once you put it on the side, you really see how the dimension makes it pop. So that way it gives an even better finishing touch. So I did this, and then I decided to add some adhesive to my London border, put it on top, and then that's it. Our project is done. I hope you liked it.